There is a word in Japan for the day a car gets judged. Shakin. Every 2 years, a car in Japan is handed over to a stranger and gone through. Brakes, lights, exhaust. The parts underneath that nobody ever looks at. If it fails, it does not go back on the road. A brand new car gets 3 years before the first one. After that, it is every 2 years, for as long as somebody owns it. And it is not cheap. Plenty of families pay as much as a vacation would cost them, every single time. Now, that inspection is about the machine. Nobody opens the glove box and judges your receipts. But something happens to a country when every car gets opened up by a stranger, on a date everybody already knows. The car stops being the room nobody looks in. It stops being the place where things go to be forgotten. So look in your own car for a second. The back seat, the floor by the pedals, the trunk. Most Western cars are carrying things nobody has chosen in years. Here are 13 of them, and what a Japanese driver keeps instead. Number 1. The trash you keep meaning to take inside. Start with the easy one. The coffee cup in the holder, the curl of receipts in the door pocket, a straw wrapper, a bag from a drive-through, folded down, holding 2 more bags. In Japan, there is almost nowhere to throw that away. Public trash cans are rare on Japanese streets. Many were pulled out of stations after the subway attack in 1995, and they never really came back. So people carry their trash with them, all day. A wrapper goes in a pocket and stays there until they get home. Children learn it at school, where they take their lunch waste home with them. There is one common exception, and it tells you a lot. Next to a vending machine, you will usually find a bin, and it takes bottles and cans and nothing else. Even the trash is sorted before it is thrown away. That habit gets in the car too. Small bins with lids are sold in every home goods store in Japan, made to sit in a cup holder or hang off the back of a seat. Some have a lid that snaps shut so a hot day cannot fill the car with the smell of last week. But the bin is not the clever part. The emptying is. It comes out when the car gets parked at home. Not on Saturday. That day. Because trash in a car is never really a trash problem. It is a timing problem. Something has no home for 1 hour, and then it has no home for a month. Try this tonight. 1 small container with a lid, and 1 rule. It comes inside when you do. Number 2. Everything hanging in front of the glass. Look at your windshield. Really look at it. A little tree on a string, an old parking pass, a phone clamped right in the middle of your view, 2 faded stickers you never took off. A Japanese windshield is mostly glass, and there is a reason for it. Japan is strict about what may be attached to the front window and the front side windows. The rules are written around one idea. Nothing may sit between the driver and the road. Something that blocks the view can cost a car its inspection, and an inspection is not a thing anyone wants to fail twice. What does sit on that glass is a small square sticker. It shows the month and the year the car is next due to be judged. Anyone can read it. Your neighbor can read it. It is a promise made in public. There is a quieter reason to clear the glass. Anything that swings pulls at the corner of your eye, over and over, for the whole drive. You stop noticing it. Your eyes never do. So take it all off. The tree, the tassel, the old pass, the sun stickers. Move the phone low and to the side, where it is not standing in the middle of the road. One thing may stay, and we will come back to it near the end. Number 3. The pile on the back shelf. Behind the back seat, on that shelf under the rear window, most Western cars are carrying a small mountain, a tissue box, a coat, a folder of papers, a ball. Half a window is not a window. Japanese drivers cannot afford that, because of something they all do that most Western drivers never do. They reverse into the space. Almost every time. Parking lots in Japan are full of cars facing out, all lined up the same way, as if somebody arranged them. Driving schools teach it as the normal way to park. There is a good reason. Spaces are tight, and it is far easier to line the car up going backwards, when the wheels do the turning behind you. And when you leave, you drive out forwards, looking straight at the traffic, instead of guessing at it over your shoulder. There is a social reason too. When everyone parks the same way, everybody leaves cleanly, and the parking lot does not jam. Nobody has to reverse blind into a lane of people trying to get out. And it is not a preference. Reversing into a space is part of learning to drive in Japan, taught and tested like any other skill. So a whole country came out of driving school doing it the same way. Now here is the part that matters for your car. If you reverse into every space, you need that back window, every single time, so nothing gets to live above the seat line. Try it for 1 week. Back into the space at work, at the store, at home. You will clear that shelf yourself, without anybody telling you to. Number 4. The cup holder full of coins. Sticky coins, dusty coins, coins for a toll, coins for a meter, coins for the barrier at the parking lot. Every Western car has a small pot of them somewhere, and it is never enough when the machine actually asks. Japan barely uses them anymore. Japanese cars carry a small box on the dashboard with a card slipped into it. It is called ETC. You roll up to the toll gate at walking speed, the bar lifts, and you keep going. No window, no coins, no fumbling. It is not a niche thing. By early 2026, about 96 out of every 100 trips through the toll gates on Japan's expressways were going through with that card. The cash lanes are being taken out. The plan is to finish the job across the whole country in the next few years. Setting it up is a small piece of paperwork. A box gets fitted in the car, and a card comes from the bank. After that, it is invisible. A Japanese driver can cross half the country and never touch a coin. So the noise stops. There is no rattle in a Japanese cup holder, because the coins have no job left. The lesson is not really about tolls. Loose coins in a car are a sign of a system you never got around to fixing. You are still paying for a thing the slow way, and the slow way needs a little pile of clutter to work at all. Sweep the coins into a jar in the house, then set up whatever your country uses for tolls and parking, once, properly. It takes 10 minutes and it never asks you for anything again. Number 5. The glove box archive. Open yours. Go on. Gas receipts from a car you no longer own. A manual for a stereo that was replaced twice. Sunglasses missing an arm. A stack of napkins. Somewhere in there, folded small, the thing you actually need. In Japan, that box has a job, and only one. A driver in Japan has to carry 2 documents in the vehicle itself. The inspection certificate, which proves the car has passed and shows when it must go back, and the certificate for the compulsory insurance every car must hold. Not filed at home. In the car, police can ask for them. Letting the inspection run out is treated seriously. Points, a fine, and the risk of losing the license. Worse, the compulsory insurance dies at the same moment, so a driver in that position has no coverage at all. So the glove box is not an archive in Japan. It is a document folder that happens to sit in a car. And notice what that does. When a box has one job, nothing else can move into it. The junk in your glove box is not there because you are messy. It is there because that box was never given a purpose, and empty space in a car always gets filled. Copy that. One clear plastic sleeve. Your registration and your insurance go in it, and nothing else. Everything else in that box goes in the recycling bin tonight, and I promise you will not miss a single piece of it. Number 6. The trunk that turned into a storage unit. The bag of clothes for the charity shop that has been riding around since March. A folding chair. A child's seat the child grew out of. A box you have stopped opening. In Japan, a huge share of cars simply have nowhere to put that. Almost 4 in every 10 new cars sold in Japan last year were K cars. A K car is a class set by law. The engine can be no bigger than 660 cubic centimeters, and the car itself can be no longer than about 11 feet. The best-selling car in the whole country has been one of these for 8 years running. It outsells every full-size car there is. You can spot them on the road. K cars wear yellow license plates instead of white ones, so the class is visible from across a parking lot. They cost less to tax and less to insure, and in some places the parking rules are easier on them. The class was invented after the war, when almost nobody could afford a proper car. and it never went away. It just got better. There is no trunk to fill. There is barely a trunk, and a small car makes the question honest. It stops being, is there room for this, and turns into, am I really driving this around with me forever? There is a cost to the trunk too, and it is not just space. Weight costs fuel. A trunk full of things you are not using is a small charge, paid on every trip you ever take, for as long as it stays in there. So do the ugly version of this. Take everything out of the trunk and put it on the ground. Then put back only what has a reason to be there. Most people finish that job in 11 minutes. Number 7. The emergency kit that would not actually help you. Almost every Western car has one. A flashlight with dead batteries, jump leads for a car that was sold years ago, a first aid box, faded by the sun, holding 2 band-aids and nothing else. It is not a kit, it is a costume. Japanese cars carry something small and real. A red emergency flare sits in the car, and it has an expiry date printed on it. That date gets checked when the car goes in for its inspection. If it is out of date, it gets replaced. And on the expressway, a driver must be able to put out a warning triangle behind the car if they stop, so other drivers can see them in time. That is the whole idea. A few items, current, and each one there for a reason somebody thought about. Think about how strange that is for a moment. A country decided that a thing you will probably never use should still be in date, not present, in date, because a flare that does not light is worse than no flare at all, since you were counting on it. That is the difference between a kit and a costume. A kit has a date on it. If ideas like this one make your day run a little smoother, subscribe, and the next set will find you. Here is your version. 3 things. A flashlight that works. A way to call for help that holds a charge. And something that makes you visible from a distance, whether that is a triangle, a vest, or both. Then borrow the Japanese part. Give it a date. Check it once a year, on a day you already remember, like the day the clocks change. Number 8. The winter gear you are carrying in July. An ice scraper, a bag of grit, a set of chains you have never opened, a blanket that has picked up the smell of the trunk. In Japan, winter equipment is a season. It is not a permanent passenger. Hokkaido, in the far north, expects winter tires through the snow months, and drivers without them can be fined. In the mountains of Nagano and Niigata, signs go up on certain roads telling drivers that winter equipment is required today, on this stretch. And since 2018, there are sections where, in heavy snow, winter tires alone are not enough. Chains have to be on the car. Those winter tires have no metal studs in them, by the way. Japan moved away from studs decades ago because they chewed the road surface up and filled the winter air with dust. So the tires there grip through the rubber and the pattern instead. So a Japanese driver changes tires twice a year. The other set goes into storage, and plenty of tire shops will keep them for you until the season turns, which means the spare set never comes home at all. The gear follows the same rhythm. It comes out for the season, then it goes back in the house. 2 dates in your phone, one in the autumn, one in the spring. Between them, the winter things live in the car. Outside them, they live in a cupboard, where they take up nothing. That is not a tidiness trick. It is the difference between having your winter kit and carrying it. Number 9. The warning light you have learned to ignore. The orange light on the dash that has been on since spring. The tire you top up every 2 weeks. The wiper that smears instead of clearing. The rattle you turn the radio up over. The Japanese answer to this is simply that nobody gets to ignore it for long. The inspection comes around every 2 years. It is expensive, and it gets more expensive as a car ages, because the tax on it steps up once the car passes 13 years, and again at 18. That is why so many good used cars leave Japan altogether. Let me be honest with you. Japanese drivers complain about this. It is a real cost, and plenty of people think it is too high. Some take the car to the inspection center themselves rather than through a garage, because doing it that way costs a fraction of the price, and there are whole guides written on how to do it. But look at what it buys. Nothing rots quietly. There is no such thing as a fault a Japanese driver has been living with for 4 years, because in 2 years at the most, somebody is going to find it. You do not have an inspector, so be one. Once a year. Pick a date. Tires, lights, wipers, brakes, fluids. The thing to throw out here is not an object. It is the habit of hearing a noise and deciding it is fine. Number 10. The museum on your dashboard. A nodding dog. 6 stickers on the back window. Something fluffy on the parcel shelf. A pile of little souvenirs from places you liked. Japanese cars are not bare, but the thing inside them tends to be one thing. A small cloth pouch hangs somewhere quiet in the car. It is called an omamori, a protective charm, and this kind is for traffic safety. People buy them at shrines and temples. Many drivers are given one by a parent when they start driving, and quite often they take it back after a year and get a new one. One object, one meaning. It does not compete with anything, so it still means something. There is a lovely detail in how they end, too. A charm is not kept forever. When the year is up, people carry the old one back to the shrine, and it is burned there with all the others, often around the new year. Then a fresh one is bought. Nothing piles up, because the ending is built into the object. Ask yourself how many things in your car have an ending built in. Most of them arrived and simply stayed. And the stickers on a Japanese car mostly tell you something worth knowing. A green and yellow shape, like a young leaf, means the driver has held their license for less than a year, and it has to be on the front and the back of the car for that whole first year. There is a mark for older drivers as well. Other drivers are expected to give a new driver room, and squeezing them out carries a penalty. So the outside of a Japanese car is not decoration, it is information. Here is the swap, and it is a kind one. Keep the one thing that actually means something to you. Let the rest go. A single object that matters beats a shelf of objects that used to. Number 11. The car used as a spare closet. A coat, a pair of shoes, a second umbrella, a sweater from last winter, a bag packed for a gym you stopped going to. This is where Japan is furthest from the West, and it starts before anybody owns the car at all. In most of Japan, you cannot register a car until you have proved you have somewhere to keep it. You take an application to the police station. You show them a parking space you own or rent, close to your home. Only then can the car be yours. The space has to be close, within about a mile and a bit of where you live, and it has to actually fit the car. You do not have to own it. Renting one is fine, but you do have to show it, and the police keep the paperwork. Leaving it on the street overnight is not an option. So the space comes first, and in a city, that space is rented, month after month, for as long as you own the car. In the middle of a big Japanese city, that rent is not small. Think about what that does to a person. Before you are allowed to have the car, you have to find room for the car. And here is the part worth sitting with. You are already paying for the space that car sits in. The space inside it is the same space. Every sweater on the back seat is being stored in the most expensive cupboard you own, and that cupboard does about 30 miles an hour through town. One bag, one place. Everything else comes in the house tonight. Number 12. Anything loose on the floor. A water bottle, a can, a tin of paint, an umbrella that rolls across the footwell every time you turn left. In Japan, what you carry is treated as part of how you drive. A load must not block the driver's view, and it must not get in the way of the driver working the car. The car and what is in it are one thing, not two. The plain version is this. A bottle that rolls forwards and lodges under the brake pedal is one of the very few small mistakes in a car that gives you nothing back. No warning, no second try. It happens in the 1 second you need the brake. Nobody sits down and decides to keep a bottle by the pedals. It just ended up there, and it stayed, because a car floor is the one floor in your life that nothing ever gets swept off. So make the floor the rule, not tidy, empty, nothing on the driver's side that is not bolted down. It takes 8 seconds when you get out, and it is the only item on this whole list that has ever killed anybody. Number 13. The phone in your hand. Japan changed the rules on this in 2019, and it changed them hard. Holding a phone, or looking at one, went from 1 penalty point to 3. The fine for a normal car went from 6,000 yen to 18,000. If a driver puts somebody in danger while doing it, it is 6 points, which is enough to take a license on its own, and the worst cases can carry a criminal penalty rather than a fine. Japan did not do that to raise money. It did it because a glance is not short. A car moving at speed covers a shocking distance in the 2 seconds it takes to read one line of a message. So the last thing to throw out is not an object at all. It is the arrangement you have made with yourself, where the phone lives in your hand, or on your lap, or propped where your eyes have to go looking for it. Notice what Japan did not ban. Talking through the car, hands-free, with the phone left alone, is a different thing entirely. What the rules go after is the holding and the looking. The eyes are the whole point. Put it somewhere you cannot reach. Let it read the messages out loud instead. If you need to answer something, you are allowed to stop the car. That is a normal thing that adults do. Everything else on this list was about space. This one is about the 2 seconds you will not get back. The last thing to take out. Go back to the beginning for a moment. A Japanese car is not really a room somebody owns. It is a space they had to prove they had before they were allowed to buy it. It costs money to keep, month after month. And it gets judged by a stranger on a date already written on the glass. Nothing gets to live in a car like that by accident. Now, let me be fair about it. Japanese cars are not all spotless. There are messy ones, full of children's things and old bags, the same as anywhere. The inspection system is expensive, and lots of people would happily see it changed. But the shape of it holds. In the West, the car is the one room nobody ever inspects. No guest walks through it. No landlord looks at it. Nobody is coming around on Sunday to see it. So it quietly becomes the place where things go to be forgotten. And look back at the 13. Almost none of them were decisions. Nobody chose to keep a bag of trash, or a bottle by the pedals, or a coat from 2 winters ago. Those things simply arrived, and then nothing ever came along to make them leave. That is the whole difference. Japan did not build better drivers. It built a calendar that keeps arriving, and a car that has to be small enough to fit a space somebody already paid for. You cannot hand your car to an inspector every 2 years. You can do the small version. Tonight, do 2 of these. The trash comes inside. The floor on the driver's side goes empty. That is 10 minutes, and you have already done the item on this list that actually matters. This weekend, do the trunk, everything out on the ground, then only what has a reason back in. And leave with this question. If nobody was ever going to open that trunk again, would you still be happy to pay to carry it around? Because you are paying. Every mile, every month, every time you fill the tank. Take care of yourself out there, and I will see you in the next one.